This isn't our usual deep dive now. This is an emergency broadcast, kind of like throwing a lifeline, into a world that's gone, well, terrifyingly wrong. If you're hearing this, chances are you're one of the few left, the few who haven't been touched by NPAZ-13. And that means what we talk about today, this deep dive, could be the only thing between you and, well, let's just say things are worse than any nightmare you've ever had.
It's bleak, no denying that. The reports we're getting from every corner of the globe, it's all the same story. And it's terrifying. We're talking about potentially the extinction of humanity, as we know it at least.
So let's cut to the chase. What exactly are we dealing with here? We hear this name, NPAZ-13, but what is it?
Imagine this. A pathogen, but not like any virus or bacteria we've ever encountered. This thing, it zeroes in on the human brain. But it doesn't just infect, it rewrites, it reprograms, shuts down everything that makes us human. Reason, compassion, logic, gone. Leaving behind a creature driven by pure primal instinct.
Okay, so we're not talking about your classic slow-moving zombie here. We've seen the reports. These infected are incredibly strong, fast.
Exactly. Think of it like this. It hijacks the brain's most basic functions, and then it puts them into overdrive.
Yeah.
Strength, speed, even some motor functions, all amplified. But higher reasoning, that's completely wiped out. It's a horrifying combination.
And that brings us to those reports out of Detroit. Survivors, barricaded in a fortified bus, it's supposed to be safe. But then they were overrun by a horde of infected. And it wasn't random. This was different. They were fizzing cars, using debris to build on each other, almost like they were, I don't know, coordinated, like it was a planned breach, almost military in its execution.
Disturbing, isn't it? That incident, along with many others, suggests something else is going on. Like there's some level of, I don't know, retained intelligence. Warped, obviously, but still. These aren't just mindless creatures acting solely on instinct. There's a level of strategy at play here, and that makes them even more unpredictable, even more dangerous.
We can't rely on those old zombie movie tropes then. Hiding, that's not going to be enough. They're learning, adapting.
Precisely. And that's where, well, understanding the science behind all this becomes critical. And luckily, we have Dr. Michael Green, a leading expert on NPAZ-13. He's been instrumental in, well, unraveling the mysteries of this pathogen. And what he's discovered is, well, it's both fascinating and utterly terrifying.
We've both had what you might call close calls, wouldn't you say, experiences with the infected that really, I don't know, drove home the reality of this whole situation. This wasn't just news reports anymore. It was personal.
You were stationed at one of the last safe zones, weren't you? The one that was overrun.
Yeah, Fortress, that place. Fences, armed guards, the works. Didn't matter. They came in a wave, smashing through those barriers like they were nothing. The screams, I'll never forget those screams. But what really got to me was this woman, one of the infected. I swear, she looked exactly like my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson. Those vacant eyes. It was. I don't know, for a moment I froze. I could almost see a flicker of her in there. Just before the aggression took over, she lunged. I barely dodged out of the way. And that's when the soldier next to me pulled her off.
It's that psychological aspect, isn't it? That's the thing. It's not just the physical threat. It's the emotional toll it takes. Knowing that anyone, even someone you love, could become one of them.
It's like a part of them is already gone, even before the transformation is complete. Haunting, really. You said you had a close call yourself?
I did. Driving back to the studio late one night, streets were deserted, which I thought, well, that's good, right? Fewer potential encounters. Turns out I was wrong. This thing, came out of nowhere, slammed right onto the hood of my car.
What was it? One of the infected?
It was mangled, covered in blood, like it'd been through a meat grinder and somehow survived. I could hear it, this guttural growl coming from its throat. It was horrifying. But there was also this strange familiarity to it, like a warped echo of something human.
I can't even imagine. What did you do?
I threw the car into reverse.
Yeah.
Hoping to shake it off, It slammed against a brick wall hard. But the impact, it didn't even phase it. It just kept coming, bone snapping, this terrifying look in its eyes, this determination. Like its entire being was consumed with this single relentless drive to get to me.
That resilience. It's like they don't even feel pain the way we do.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what makes them so hard to stop. Took everything I had to fight it off. Finally managed to use a tire iron. Aim for the head. Just like Dr. Green recommends.
It's almost like what you were talking about earlier with the safe zone, that feeling of almost recognizing someone you knew in all that chaos.
And that's where Dr. Green's research gets really interesting. You see, NPAZ-13, it doesn't just rewire the brain. It's like it taps into something deeper, something primal. It's not just aggression they're showing. It's this warped, almost instinctual understanding of their environment.
You mentioned those infected in Detroit, how they were using tools, working together. How does that even work if they're essentially running on instinct?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Dr. Green, he believes that while the higher cognitive functions are suppressed, certain basic instincts, things like pack mentality, territorial behavior, those get amplified. They might not be, consciously strategizing, but they're responding to stimuli in a way that, well, it mimics strategic thinking.
So we're talking about a threat that's evolving in real time, adapting to its surroundings, learning new ways to hunt and kill.
And that's not even the worst of it. According to Dr. Green, NPAZ13, it has this terrifyingly high mutation rate.
We've heard those reports, haven't we? Larger, stronger, infected, almost like enforcers within the horde. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. Imagine this. You're facing this wave of infected, right? Already incredibly fast and strong. And then at the back, you see them. Larger, even more resilient, like they're impervious to pain. These aren't just mindless attackers. They're directing the horde, coordinating attacks.
We saw something like that in the Hong Kong footage. That was terrifying. Those images of the infected overrunning entire skyscrapers, they moved in, I don't know, almost tactical formations, using their combined weight to smash through barricades.
Those urban centers. Once, they were symbols of human achievement. Now they're breeding grounds for these nightmare scenarios, the population density, the endless buildings.
Like something out of a horror movie, except it's all too real. And if these mutated infected are now, leading the charge?
It means we need to rethink our entire approach to survival. The old rules, they don't apply anymore.
So where does that leave us? What can we, those of us still out here, actually do to survive?
That's the question, isn't it? The one that keeps me up at night. But here's the good news. If you can even call it that. Humans, we're incredibly adaptable. And, we have knowledge on our side. Dr. Green, he's been working with, what's left of the military and survival experts. They've been gathering data, analyzing every encounter, every bit of footage they can get their hands on, trying to find, the chinks in the armor.
So there are ways to fight back. Because, honestly, it's been sounding pretty bleak.
Hope, real hope, that comes from understanding your enemy. Firearms, they're effective. But the noise, that just attracts more of them, Unless you've got, expert training and a way to escape. Honestly, a gun might do you more harm than good.
Plus, ammo, that's a finite resource. Every bullet counts in this new world.
Exactly. Now, let's say you're in a tight spot, forced into close combat. That's when those melee weapons, those are your friend. Crowbars, axes, anything that can really deliver a solid blow to the head. But getting that close, it's incredibly risky. One slip, one wrong move.
You become one of them. We have to keep reminding ourselves, one bite, one scratch, that's all it takes. So that's why I'm guessing those long-reach weapons are so crucial. The spears, the pikes we talked about earlier.
You got it. Distance, that's your friend now. Anything that lets you keep a safe distance but still target that weak spot. And remember those mirrors, the ones reflecting your blind spots. Turns out the infected, they don't process reflections the same way we do. It kind of messes with their perception.
So we can use their distorted senses against them. What about travel? We've heard about those ambushes, those stories out of Toronto, people getting trapped in their cars at night.
Yeah, travel, that's incredibly dangerous now. If you have to travel, never do it alone. Strength in numbers, that still holds true. Yeah. More eyes to spot those traps, more hands to fight back if you need to, and avoid urban areas at all costs. Those skyscrapers, the density.
They've become death traps, haven't they? The things we built, our interconnectedness, it's working against us now.
It's a harsh reminder, isn't it? How quickly things can change, how vulnerable we really are. But it's also, it's a testament to human resilience. We're learning, adapting to survive.
So for anyone listening out there, anyone clinging to hope, what's the takeaway? What do we do?
Never underestimate the power of knowledge. Learn everything you can about the infected, about their weaknesses, how they behave. Stay adaptable, stay vigilant, and never, ever give up hope.
This isn't the end. It's a fight for survival. We didn't ask for this, but we can win, remember. Headshots, fortify your homes, don't hesitate to defend yourself. They may be strong, relentless, but we have something they don't. The will to survive, to rebuild, stay alive out there, stay human. This is The Deep Dive, signing off. For now, Godspeed.